In the previous lesson, I showed you how we can create a navigation bar. And one of the problems with the navigation bar in Bootstrap 4 is that it doesn't really resize well. But there is a solution. So you can easily transform any navigation bar, and now with Bootstrap 4, there's a lot more logic involved with it as well whenever you do the transformation. So we can do a nice and easy transformation of our logic within our elements here in HTML. So I'm going to pull it over to the left there and save that. So let's take a look at the navigation bar and see what we need to add in order to make it collapsible. So first of all, we need to create some kind of button over here in order so that we can identify and have something else show up when we are making it collapsible. So this is where we add in a button. So the button, you typically would just sit right underneath the navigation bar here, and you could actually put this button wherever you want, because this button is going to be hidden and it's only going to show up when we're resized on the small scale. So let's add in a class here, and we're going to call it navbar toggler. And close this off, and here we need to specify some kind of something here to show that we've got an icon here for closing, and typically we use this. You probably recognize this. This is the smaller menu type text here, so we've got this showing up, and maybe I'm going to transform this to light so that's a little bit easier to see. So we've got our typical stuff here within the navigation bar. We've got a navbar toggler, and now we need some more information to help differentiate what we're doing with our navigation bar. So we need to split off. I need to close that button off, and that's why it's not displaying properly. So let's save that now and give it a second to reload. So this looks a lot better. So maybe the navbar color, we can change it to a lighter color or yellow or something like that, so we can really see it standing out for now. So let's open this up and look at it, that we need to have a way to be able to differentiate what content we want to collapse when the different size of screens are available. So we want to collapse all of this content contained within this div, and within this div we need to apply some classes as well. So let's add in a collapse class, and again, built-in Bootstrap stuff. And this is a navbar toggleable, and we need to specify at what breaking point we want this to collapse. So here we would just specify that XS. So we want it to, whenever it's the smallest size screen, then this is where we want it to toggle and show up. So just leave that in there for now. And lastly, let's give it an ID so that we can identify it between this toggle bar, because we need a way to actually be able to click through and attach this action in the button to the navigation toggle bar. So we need to give it an ID, and I'm just going to give it an ID of, we'll just call it my button, something simple like that. So now we need to attach the action of being able to clear off and close off the, or I should put this, my bar. So this is for all of the navigation bar items. And now we need to be able to attach an action to this button to close off that bar. So a few things are still missing. We noticed that on the larger screen and on the smaller screen. So we've got the button there, but whenever we shrink it down, then our menu disappears. And that's because this toggleable XS, this allows us to hide that content within the div whenever we resize, but we're still missing something. And I'm actually going to change this to white for now, so that we can really see what's happening here. So let's add in something where we're hiding this toggle button whenever we're on the larger size screens, because we don't want it visible. And Bootstrap gives us the ability to hide any element within our page. So we can just do something like hidden SM up, and adding in this class will add that. So I can even add that into this alert as well. So we see that the alert hides, but whenever I shrink it down and I hit that certain size, that alert shows up again. So really nice functionality within Bootstrap. And of course we can specify what values we're hiding it up on. So this is the starting point that we're showing it on SM. So we could start to show it on MD and so on. And then we'd have to adjust the toggle to SM. So those are some of the different options. We could do something like SM and MD. And now we see that the toggle button, it hides the menu on the different sizes. So whenever we get larger, it shows back up again and so on. So typically you're going to do an SM here and an XS, but of course we do have options and we can vary that as needed. So depending on what your design looks like, you can make some different differentiations there. So here we need to specify the type. So we're going to specify this as a button. And we're going to use the data value. And this is, again, this is requiring that we have JavaScript and all the jQuery connected. So we make sure that you've got that in your source code in order for this to work. So data toggle. And the value here is going to be collapse. So this tells us what this button is going to do. And now what we want to do is we want to do a data target. So we need to specify attaching it to that ID that we've got down there. So data target and equal it to the ID. So my bar, because it's an ID there. And now we're attaching it to that bar, and we're going to be able to have the different toggle. And we should always add in our area controls as well. And here's where we can specify what it is controlling. So it's controlling my bar. And also, let's add in our area expanded. And we're going to equal that to false. And we've got the area label as well. And let's label this as nav toggle. And let's save this and try this out. So now we've got our toggling and we've got the menu opening and closing. So this is how you build a responsive menu using Bootstrap or Bootstrap 4, and you can see that this nicely presents that menu. And of course now if I change this background color, so maybe now we can change it to red or something like that, and of course you'd probably want to customize this. We see that really nicely presents, and maybe this should even be dark. So I don't think my colors are very great here, but we can see that when we're updating it, we can see these menu options showing up really nicely. So now it's fully responsive, and that's how you build out your navigation bar. And of course, if you wanted to keep some content outside, so if you had some branding, company name or something like that, you could keep that outside, or you could put that in. And actually this should be a span, so it's not taking up another line there. So we could have our company name sitting in line with the content there and so on. If I want to make it within the collapse, I could just place it within that div there as well. So keep it in there. So whenever I'm collapsing, then I've got the company name showing up. And a lot of different options there that we can utilize within our navigation. And of course, this is only collapsing those list items, so keep that in mind as well. And it's definitely worth playing around and trying to really style and build out a nice navigation bar for your web page. So in the next set of lessons, we're going to look at some more advanced functionality that's available within Bootstrap. Right out of the box, we've got the ability to do carousels and some really cool stuff. So that's coming up in the next set of lessons.